getting.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation. Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is 96.9 FM Radio, Guardian Radio, Howard Grant and your company and The Foundation. So happy that you're in my company today. It is 12 o'clock. I hope you guys are out there having a beautiful day. You probably stop for lunch, trying to get something to eat or whatnot. Just want to kind of put that in your spirit to just do things in decency and order. The line's going to be wide open today if you want to have a conversation about anything. Just know that I'm really strong on certain things. You can fight me for some things, and I'm willing to fight. Let's fight. You know why? CA walked out. He and I had a conversation, and I'm just truly baffled. Not by the culture that exists in this country, not by the conditioning of where we've grown up, but after we would have gotten grown, many of us traveled the world, got off this rock, had an opportunity to be able to experience other things, but we still harbor this sort of disdain, this what I consider a confusing stance on some issues. Let's see if we can be able to do a couple things. And if you didn't, make sure that you do. Pick up your Guardian newspaper today and kind of dive into that, chop those things down. I thank the persons that continue to be able to sponsor the show. You all are good and decent people. And if you want to be a part of that sponsorship and be able to dive something and make some things happen in that particular respect, please give me a call, 827-0111, or you can be able to kind of shoot some information right here at the studio, 302-2300, 302-2300. Now, I'm baffled by some stuff. I really am. I don't understand some things. I just don't. As it relates to our responsibility in this space that we're here, what are we here for? Why are we here? Have you ever taken on a position and really been able to do some introspection and just sat down and tried to figure out, okay, so what am I called for? What am I called for, right? Is there purpose? I'll tell you a little story. Right? I see your lines. Let me get this little piece out and then we can kind of talk about it, right? Please give me the lines are going to be open today. 325-4316, 325-4316, 325-4259, 325-4259, or you can hit me up on the text line, 422-4796. All is going to be open today. We can jam. We can have a good conversation. Now, as I grew, I got married at a very young age, right? This me. I got married very young. Met my girlfriend at the time. I told you the story. If you didn't know the story, her father introduced me to her. We were all kind of geared up to go to, it's just in 2000, we were all geared up to go to Cuba. And in the spirit of indecency that has been passed down to me by the forefathers, I didn't go to Cuba looking for no one woman. Talk to me. Hey, Jesus, let's just be very clear. We're going to be honest today. We're going to be honest today, right? We going to Cuba. Now, I went for education. The reason why, Howard, why did you go to Cuba? What did you study? I didn't study anything in Cuba, right? I went to Cuba. I had an objective. I wanted to move to Fort Lauderdale. And if I moved to Fort Lauderdale, I needed to know either Creole or Spanish. And I didn't think Creole persons had themselves established enough in mainstream business in the United States of America. So I said, let me go to Cuba. I need to be bilingual if I go to the States. So I met my wife there on the dock going over to on the airport going over to the States. And when I met her there, long story short, her father introduced me to her, and we got married about a year, maybe 2 years, 2.5 years later after we met. And the reason is because, I got a year in Cuba. I got my Spanish. Things changed. I fell in love now. I got to be able to do some stuff. Came home, looked for jobs, did everything that I had to do. And I got married at 23. Was it 23? Oh, Jesus. 22. So this year make me 20 years married. So I did a little bit introspection. I tried to find myself and try to find my purpose. I gave myself my heart over to Christ and try to be able to figure out, is there divinity beyond my existence? Is there a purpose beyond my existence? We read Rick Warren's book. We did the whole thing, right? And then I did on this sort of a quest for myself, right? Just to find out more things. So when y'all people start talking in the church, and if you see me leave, then you're talking foolishness because I didn't study all these things. I got my Bible dictionary, I got my Greek Bible, I got this, I got that. I got but 7 things when I study. I got everything laid out. You don't need it now because you just pick up your phone. But that introspection put me to a position to try to find out, why was I born in the Bahamas? Why am I here? Why now? Why in this particular era? Why in this space? Why wasn't I born during the time of slaves? And I'm not talking about the physics. I'm talking about the existence of our spirits that's been released into this atmosphere, into this world at this time. Why now? And so through study, through faith, through all these things, I recognize that I have something to offer at this time, at this juncture, at this point. Many of us, we do as much as we possibly can trying to find that thing that we have to offer. Some of us get frustrated and we give up on this particular concept and kind of just yield ourselves to life and coast to death. Just kind of coast. You meander, swaying from side to side like a boat on a lazy river, waiting for death. Many of us. Not eager to find out that thing because you've been heartbroken, you've gone through so much things. I ask this question today. Have you as an individual, have we as a society done enough introspection to understand why we are here right now? So many persons get caught up in this idea and wrapped up in this idea of ownership. Oh my God, these Haitians coming, Jesus. No, but y'all don't call them Haitians. These Haitians. Let's just be very clear. This is the language that exists outside of formality of this media space. Jesus, God, these Haitians coming to take everything. Which baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. Because I was riding here and looking on St. Vincent Road this morning with my children. I say, you know what is amazing to me? Because we were having the conversation about Haitians. Everybody does, the atmosphere is charged with it. Everybody pulling it down. Watch me. I said, what's amazing to me is that we live in paradise. And we're supposed to be owners of our rock. I said, I'm hearing people call the radio station to talk about, I remember when pieces of property out in St. Vincent in the back of God Back was $5,000, $3,000, so forth and so on. And to get one little small 50 by 50 may cost you almost $65,000. That is bananas. And we scrounge up the money to go pay for this little piece of, and you go off into the world and you say, oh my God, where do you live? I live in the Bahamas. And then you do not add the N in a small jail cell that I purchase. Because that's just how big it is. No one's having these conversations about real ownership and how do we really be able to possess the land. But the only thing that we are, in my mind, and let's row about it if that's what you want to do. In my mind, we are consumed with a superficial conversation about Haitians coming in. Yes, we need to do more as it relates to enforcement. Yes, we need to be able to take care of our borders. But no one is having the conversation about a man shot dead in Flamingo Gardens. I mean, I know we're talking about it. Yeah, we're talking about it. But let's read the story. It's in the papers this morning, guys. Let's do that. Like I said, make sure you pick up your papers and check it out. And I always stop at a particular juncture when it comes here. So it says, a man A man was shot and killed in Flamingo Gardens off Carmichael Road yesterday afternoon. Now, yesterday would be what? Sunday. Okay, let's go. Yesterday afternoon, police reported a shooting happened shortly after 3 p.m. in the area of Flamingo Gardens. Police said that a man who was with two females at the time was approached by two gunmen who shot him about the body. When officers arrived on the scene, they met the man's body lying in the front of a residence. According to reports police received, the man had been in a car with females and exited the vehicle, attempting to flee as the assailants approached. Police reported the man was known in reference to murder. How? I just want to talk. Let's just talk. Let's just be decent. It's a beautiful day. It's Monday. First day of the week. The fella got snuffed out on Sunday. And his life has been punctuated so significantly in the national newspaper that many of us dismiss him instantaneously. Talk to me. Let's just be very clear. Watch me. Police reported that the man was known to police in reference to murder. Nobody read from that juncture. You saw that and you said, jeez, let him kill up himself. Whoever this man is, I don't know who he is. I see some pictures floating up on WhatsApp. And the only thing I can say in my mind is, my God, we're snuffing out the future of who we are as a people. Whilst we're yelling and screaming and cussing and kicking up and standing outside and want to do everything, find somebody to arrest and get them down to Rawson Square and beat them in the middle there and everybody take pictures. I don't know what you want to do. You don't realize that we're losing tomorrow. The article actually goes on. If you didn't have an opportunity to be able to read it, I tell you, make sure you pick it up. It goes further on A7, right? Now, A7 spoke to, just sort of wrapping it up. The gunman fled the scene after the shooting. The police said, and they go into some. This is the fifth murder that occurred in the Bahamas this year. The Bahamas ended 2022 with a murder count of 128, a 7.6% rise over the 119 murders reported in 2021. And the new year was off to a bloody start. As police reported, a man and a woman were shot dead while asleep in a home in Montel Heights. And then it goes in and it says, there were 73 in 2020. And the highest recorded murders in the country has been 146 in 2015. So the story actually starts to speak strategically and specifically to the fact that, we may see another bloody year. Right? And then it actually contrasts the years that we've been seeing almost as though this is expected, but normally we don't see it. It doesn't say that, but normally we don't see these things in January. How are we okay with this? How are we comfortable with the idea that we're seeing brothers and sisters get snuffed out and being very flippant and dismissive with the idea that, let them kill up themselves. They're too stupid. They're too fool. But yet we want to rally together and clasp hands. Why are we not doing this as it relates to crime? Why? Why do I not see the church in a tizzy, going crazy, praying all over the place? Why don't I see the churches walking around their community and touching people? Why don't I see y'all putting on your shirts and coming outside and being able to reform your community? Why don't I see you jumping in your church bus and saying to the single mother who was supposed to be attached to your church, listen, bring your children to church? Why don't I see these things? Why? Why are you so consumed and concerned about what? Listen to me. I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight the illegal immigration issue, I'm simply saying to you, but the preservation, the sustainability, the existence of who we are as a people lies in the blood of our next generation. And they are getting killed. The blood is being spilled all over the road. They're dying. They are dying. They are being murdered. And it's only because they have no hope. The community snatched this idea of hope away from them. And the only thing that we're concerned with, oh, Jesus, these Haitians come and they take everything. You ain't never had nothing in the first place. Let's just have a very clear conversation today. The lines are open, guys. Please give me a call. 325-4316, 325-4259, 422-4796. I don't want to come mad righteous with you today. This ain't no holier than thou conversation. This is just clearly something that's not connecting in my head. Yes, immigration is an issue. Okay? Yes, it is. Yes. Yes, we're having illegal immigration issues. Yes. But we're having a significant issue when we can look in the newspaper and count annually triple digits of death in our community. An island that is 21 by 7 miles that holds the weight of the population of the country. And the only thing that we've decided to do amongst ourselves is to navigate around that. Oh, child, I don't go there after a certain time. No, I stay on the main thoroughfares. I don't want, no. These are our brothers and sisters. Whilst now you've been educated, maybe the country sent you off to school, maybe your families sacrificed and did what they had to do. You're educated, you've grown, you had your children, and you move away from your homestead. You all used to live in Montel Heights. You all used to live in Pinewood. You used to live in Elizabeth Estates. Education has elevated you and caused you to separate yourself to the point where you've rejected the idea of even looking back at your own community. I've made my rock. Let's be very clear about this. Do you not have a heart? Where's your heart? It's like the former Prime Minister would ask. Talk to me. I just want to put that there. That's the foundation of what we're having a conversation about today. That's the base of it. Do you think that we're lopsided? This seems to be imbalanced to me. Can we not walk and chew gum at the same time? Should we activate and really get with it as it relates to being able to change some things? 325-4316, 325-4259, 422-4796. Let's go to the callers. Calling on the line with us live. This is Foundation with Howard Grant. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Grant, you said a lot today, and you dropped too much on people one time. People got to give everything thought that you said. But I have a philosophy, what I always say. People respond to three things. Some you can talk to, some you can make them pay physically, and then the others, you got to take them out. That's just how people respond to things.
Sparky, do not hang up.
No, I'm not Sparky.
Who's this? I'm sorry. Don't leave your name. I apologize. You sound like Sparky. I do apologize to you. Well, don't hang up because we got to take this commercial break. But I want you to expound on what you're saying because I like where you're going. Okay, let me take this quick commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, you get the numbers. You got everything. 325-4316, 325-425-9, 422-4796. Let's take this quick commercial break right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We'll be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient, so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
We're good for you.
Here we go.
S. Johnson Insurance agents are the best. Reliable service, we've been on the scene, protecting since 1919. J.S. Johnson Insurance has the test. You're always covering me. J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 96.9 FM Radio, Guardian Radio, Howard Grant in your company, having a great conversation with you. The lines are wide open. If you want to be a part of the conversation, please, por favor, llámame. 325-4316, 325-4316, 325-4259, or hit me up with the text 422-4796. I got a couple texts here, but let me get back to this telephone call. Calling on the line with us live?
Yes.
Go ahead. Thank you so much for holding, man. I do appreciate
by
that.
the way, me, mucho tiempo, Havana.
Mucho tiempo, Havana.
Listen.
Don't tell these people you're mucho tiempo, Havana.
I'm glad I made you laugh.
Boy, well, praise God. I know what that means.
Let's get back to the nitty-gritty.
Go ahead.
Like I said, Mr. Grant, there are three things people respond to.
Okay.
You can talk to them. Some people will change by you just talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people you got to make them pay monetarily.
Mm-hmm.
They learn from that. And the ultimate one is you got some have to pay back with their lives. That's just a fact of nature. Mm-hmm. Nature kicks in. Because it says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Mm-hmm. The greatest book of all times and the most read book in the world is the Bible, and it speaks about that. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I know these things.
Now,
If we don't
let me ask you this question while you go in there. So you're saying either they pay monetarily with money, right?
Right.
Either they pay with their, what's the second one, time?
Talking to listening, not and listening.
Okay.
And
And then
the
the
next
other
thing
one is
you-
to pay with their life.
Yes.
Now, I have to ask you these questions because I need to. We have become, used to the rhythm of how life exists, but I don't believe that we as a people, collectively as human beings, seek to kind of rectify these things. Some spaces have done it. We always talk about what Singapore has done. We talk about Norway. We talk about Greenland. We talk about, where people find success in these particular spaces, and all of us are human beings. So my question to you is that does this have anything to do with the conditioning, with the brought-up-see, with the exposure in their homes
Yes,
that places
it has-
them in this position?
Listen, when I was growing up, every Sunday we sat at the dining table, had dinner, and we discussed what we want to do later on in life. My mother and father controlled everywhere we went. Even my mother even controlled the clothes you wore. So, mind you, I went astray, but I was able to come back and know what was wrong, what is right from wrong, and what is accepted from what is not accepted. All of us go astray calling it fun. But they were teaching us from children or a child what is right from wrong and how we should live. But society tells us something different when you get out there and your parents are not around. This is how you have fun. And fun leads to all kinds of things. Everybody start out with these things having fun, hanging with a crowd, and they call themselves having fun. Then that's where the drugs come in, the womanizing come in. Then you meet this fellow who steals cars, the fellow who got guns, the fellow who deals drugs. It all comes out of this thing what we call having fun. Education is put too far back on the back burner. We don't discuss education like we should. with our children. All they want to do is watch them dance. Boy, he could dance. You ever see the little boy? He got on a chain which costs more than what all the clothes you got on. He got on the Jordan tennis, the little matching shirt. But he can't say his ABCs or say yes sir, no sir, thank you very much, may I, or please. They have them dressed right down from the crack of the gate, but they have no social brought-up-see like those people say.
I appreciate that. You're talking good.
And so, therefore, this is a direct result of, because you don't want to hear them talk, boy, he could dance, eh? Hey, but they ain't got a liquor sense in his head.
Yeah, but that existed on the slave site, on the
No,
slave
you can
ground.
still hear that today.
No. What I'm saying to you is that has traveled with us.
Yes.
That has traveled with us. In the middle of the slave camp, is somebody dance when you get a little time to
Right,
yourself.
that's right.
This is what you had. Why? Because you couldn't show your smarts. You couldn't show your capability to read and articulate. You couldn't show your That's what you hide and suppressed.
But today you can. But now, look at all, because of the COVID, the amount of children that dropped out of school and are not going back. What do you think happened to all those young boys who didn't get a leaving certificate? Where do you think they're going to end up? Very few of them went on to further their education.
Wow.
So let's say, I would put as far as 80% of them dropped out, didn't go back.
Wow.
So what you expect now for the next couple of years, you could expect this to happen. Because why? They're not going to go to school to better themselves. They're not going to learn a trade because they see the other fellow with the car and the money in his pocket and the girls, and they figure they're going to do what he do. They emulate him. Not you and I who go to work every day and make do with what we have.
I appreciate that. And the thing about it is that the conversation that we're having is how do we rectify that? How, whilst we're talking about immigration, whilst we're talking about all these other issues,
Mr. Grant,
let's deal with this.
Listen to me. I don't know if you're old enough to know when, as a child, when school closed, when we had school closed out on Fridays, we had to clean up the school campus, the children, not the janitress. This was a show of pride to teach you cleanliness, to teach you how to take care of your own things. Nowadays, if a child picks up a piece of paper, they want you to pay them.
Wow.
You see the difference now? The concept and the psyche of the people that run the country, they dropped the ball on that. They're teaching us to go to Mars and all that, but they're not teaching us to stop killing ourselves.
That's crazy.
They want it this way, man. That's all I got to say.
Wow.
But let me touch on what I really want to talk about.
But you got to go now. You got to give me a call back. I got a lot of persons.
Okay, Mr. Grant, I can call you another day.
Okay, my brother. I appreciate
right,
your
good.
telephone call. Thank you so very kindly. The fella texted and say, Howard, if that ain't Sparky, that got to be his brother, right? Give me a call, guys, please. 325-4316, 325-4316, 325-4259, 325-4259, or hit me up on the text 422-4796. Let's read a couple of these texts and see if we can get through there. Really, it says, Howard, I thought that I had mentioned this on your talk show. You are very respectful and not condescending like the talk show host before you. Oh, Jesus. Listen, y'all didn't cause no row in here. I'm not going to read the rest of that. I didn't listen to the show, so I don't know exactly what's what, right? So we're saying, it's a great show as usual, Howard. You've been to Cuba. Boy, Howard, you're dirty. LOL. I know you had it in you. Your wife is a Cuban, right? My wife is not a Cuban. Let's be very clear. She is a Bahamian Pasetti. Amen. Of people from Harbor Island. So she's not, right? Say, said, your wife is a Cuban. I see when you was married at 22. Wow. Okay. No, you keep saying I was married to a Cuban. I'm not married to a Cuban, right? Somebody texts rocks and shots. So it says, if we don't have anything, why should we try to combat crime in any way? That's a heavy question that you ask. You're saying that if we don't have anything in terms of ownership, why should we try to combat crime in any way? That's a strong question that you ask. Because if the core of the conversation is illegal immigration, if the base of it is we're identifying, our blood boils to the idea of seeing sloops and seeing people running up and down now. But let me tell you something. I from Maroc. I know everybody named Maroc. We know when they come off the boat. We could see the salt water still on them, dripping, walking up and down with amazement to the community, looking left, right. Hey. Who are you, sir? Can't speak no English. We know them. I went to government schools, and I know that in the middle of the term, at some point, you'll be able to see someone who's unable to speak English at all be enrolled in school, come into school, get uniform, the whole thing. I know this. I've lived these particular things. So when you say that I know exactly what's what, this is the core of the conversation is illegal immigration. Let's be clear about it. Let's not shake left or right about this. But I'm saying to you, should that only be what we place our emphasis on? I don't say reject it entirely. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying to you that there are other arms in our country. This country is a body. We are a body of people. All of us don't work in a hotel. All of us don't work for the government. We are a body of people who have expertise in strategic areas and leadership qualities and skills to pull people together, activate them, and get them moving in whatever your expertise is, whatever division that you're in. But we're not seeing that. The only thing that we're seeing is ad hoc persons come together to talk about immigration and taking on a very strong position and doing that. There's no formality from a governmental standpoint when they're moving towards speaking about legal immigration. And many of us we're indifferent about it. Whether that be Adrian Gibson, whether that be Lincoln Bain, and whoever are these organizations that decided to kind of rally themselves together to talk about these things. And then we see the government agitate, step up and say, we're going to be able to deal with these particular things. Let's take a next telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live? Go ahead.
Grant,
Hey.
I just want to call you back to let you know your wife is my family. I'm a Roberts and my Brandon.
Oh, okay, you're his family.
The place said a Roberts. When you said Presenti, and they're from Cuba. The father was from Cuba.
So I did buy a Cuban.
So now you're really in trouble with this.
I did marry a Cuban. All
right then. Yes, she's of Cuban descent.
I know, my brother. I appreciate you.
So one of these days I'm going to introduce myself. See, it comes from family. You need to know your family also. Because if I meet my cousin's little boy down the road doing foolishness, I need to correct him.
Yeah.
Or let his bar know. I saw where he was, and he was with some people who I think don't mean him any good.
Okay, my brother.
So it comes back also to family also. We need to take part in these children's lives.
And community, my brother. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. It comes back to family, it comes to community, and it comes to these particular things. Now, one of the things that he said when he called in, he said, we pursue fun and not education, and that's a strong thing. That's a very strong thing. If our pursuit for fun is richer and more meaningful than our pursuit of education, then we'll always have the issues that we have. How do we rectify these issues? How do we fix these issues? How do we fix the issues that we have in this country? And the fact of the matter is that if we're in this position and we don't have anything at all, then what you fighting illegal immigration for? If that's your text, based upon your text. Your text is saying to me, if we don't have anything, why should we try to combat crime in any way? Okay. But you know that we possess the land. You know that this land is ours. But your lack of agitation and standing up for yourselves, we have been conditioned to this idea. Our mothers teach us that from the slave plant. Let's get deep today. Let's get deep today. I'm sick and tired of swimming around in this kiddie pool. Let's talk about it today. We've been conditioned for this idea all the way from our slave masters. And when they try to be able to take our fathers, and I'm talking to you, the majority of us out here, if you're listening to me, many of us out here are black. And our forefathers were the ones, if they show one shred of strength, they'll be bucked in the front of everyone to be able to dehumanize them and strip them of their manhood. And then the mothers would take on a position and say, no, baby, go, leave that alone. Let God deal with that. No, baby, no. So we've been conditioned to suppress our strength and our position to fight for something for ourselves. And that has never left the black man. The patriarchs of our family will take on a position and say, well, no, baby, you just got to let that go. Leave it alone. Sometimes you just let sleeping dogs lie. My Grammy and I had this conversation years ago. Grammy said, no, baby, don't bother with that. Sometimes you got to kiss it before you kick it. You know what she said? Sometimes you got to just kiss it before you kick it. I said, Grammy, I had to been about 20. I said, Grammy, let's just be very clear, okay? We as black people have pulsating, protruding lips with veins that run through it because of relentless kissing. That's all we do. And our feet are webbed, curved. We never use it to kick nothing. We take what people shovel on us and we continue to move in the same direction. Adrian Francis sat with me the other day. If you didn't have an opportunity to be able to listen to that show, I get some flack for that. Talk to me. But I thought it was a good conversation. And he says to me that there will be a civil war brewing. That's too strong, Adrian. Come talk to me. Civil war? Never. Not in this country. You got to come kill their firstborn for them to fight. Civil war? He said, you think Bahamian people can stay here and take it? Yes. That is what we've been conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to just sit here and wait. Even our governments put themselves in the position that we're going to condition you to wait even more. The entire world at this juncture right now is moving swiftly towards technology. Especially after the pandemic. After the pandemic, they find themselves in this kind of position where how do we get to our bottom line and make sure that we have some things and we can make some money in our businesses? Let's utilize technology. The entire country and the government has taken on a position to say, well, we're just trying to get back to normalcy. What the hell do you mean normalcy? This could never be normal again. I just came from the pediatrician. My 2 children, they coughing. They got cold in the chest, congestion. My son coughed all night. I couldn't understand why. This is Jesus. And, we figure because the air lighter now, it's cool. Maybe that's what it is. There's a respiratory issue that continues to travel through for little children in the country, especially when you take them back to the daycare. Let's be very clear about this. This is what's happening in the country. There's never going to be a fight. The closest that we've got to a fight most recently is when we did We March. And as soon as the opportunity was presented to the good gentleman, Grammy say, bush crack, man gone. He turned over cat gut. Let's have a clear conversation of where we are. If we're going to rectify these issues, there has to be an area that we can look at that is not only, and I just believe that is sort of our hatred that we want to focus on one person. We know that we can rectify some issues, but you're scared. You're scared to deal with Junior them and little TJ them and JR them. We know you as TJ, now your name Gunner as you grow up. Her hair twists up and plait up. You're scared. Mama them scared to talk to these boys because you don't know what you could expect. But it's easier for you to kind of anger and channel that kind of disdain that you have for someone and something, this kind of unease that's happening socially on the Haitians. When there's real issues for us to be able to deal with. That's just how I feel. I said to you, it's on the table. Let's have a good conversation about it. If you want to do that, if you don't want to do that, we're still here. Let's take a telephone call. Carly on the line. Go ahead, Carly on the line with us live.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, man. What's happening with you?
Not bad. The problem we get, right, is that you get too much first-generation vehemence. Like myself, right? The power. I don't have the power, right? But like, I'm a first-generation vehement. There's too many first-generation vehements with power in the media as well as political power that won't address this problem because they are first-generation vehements. Their parents did not come here as slaves. Their parents came here by choice. So they won't address the immigration problem. That's the problem. You see, you had people like, remember Che Guevara? Che Guevara was an immigrant to Haiti. right? But he fought for Mendoza Haiti to Cuba, but he fought for the nationalization in Cuba. Why can't the first generation Bahamians do the same? You know why? And you know what I'm saying? First generation Bahamians should not expect to have the same rights as the Bahamians who came here as slaves, especially the black Bahamians whose parents came here as slaves. You know, they talk down to them. They call them criminals. They call them lazy. They say anything. When it comes to them, there's no such thing as political correctness. But when it comes to the immigrants and the politicians, they want to have all the political correctness in the world. It's time to stop that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is a number game. There ain't no way this little country could sustain any immigrants in this country, man. That's just wrong. Prince Island is wrong. It would be wrong in a place like Bermuda.
Yes. I am of the strong belief that the answer that we seek is here. We don't have to get no consultants, nobody else. So I ask you, what do you think we do?
I'm a Williams Gardner. So, you know, when you, my family, you a grand, so I know you and me, I and you in the same boat, just like them percentages. They first generation Bahamians, just like me and you.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had to fight for the rights of black men and women all over the world. But then we can't take another man's country next. Come on, man, that ain't right.
I agree with you.
Because we black.
I agree with you.
But this is the Bahamas, man. These people come as slaves.
Do you believe if we
even the Lutheran adventures, the blacks in there, they came here slaves, so they Bahamians too. Not us, not me and you.
If we
Bahamians.
If we were to eradicate,
they can talk, but civil war is a war between citizens, not a war between citizen people.
Yeah, they're citizens. If we were to eradicate this illegal immigration issue, do you think all the issues in the country would just automatically go away?
At least, and I'm sure the issues with the poor people go away because the cost of labor would go up, and the poor people, the poor Bahamians is the issue. You know, these are the people who need to be protected because the rich one, they don't care because they international people. They can go anywhere with their money and their education while the poor people got to stay and suffer.
Okay, so now we take that illegal element out of the country entirely. We ain't dealing with the mud, the pigeon piece. We ain't dealing with the shanty towns no more. And now Bahamian people have to go and deal with these particular jobs. And the rich foreigner, the foreign expat who comes here to invest, decides that, okay, if we don't have foreigners to do our jobs, we're going to leave the country entirely. Do you believe that it's going to be able to create a lull or sort of a void in our society?
See, as it pertains, I didn't get what you said about the foreign investor, but let me address the foreign investor. The foreign investor is an issue to any foreigner, the foreign in this country. Whoever comes in this country has to come to this country with
but every story that we've heard, that we've heard from the inception of time had to do with foreign labor developing your city. Every story, if you're looking to be able to grow, every story that we know of, the stories that we continue to repeat from a biblical standpoint, the stories that we see right now, whilst we as Bahamians continue to be able to flock and find a way to get to Dubai, all these stories has to do with foreign labor developing those particular spaces. So will that ever change?
See, you know, let me give you another story. See, I have some. It's hard for me to hear you. I got some noise in the background, right? But let me give you another story. There's a situation with advancement, technical advancement, with the AI and the like, with the robots doing what you think's gonna happen? You can tell me. You think you're gonna tell the poor man that he needs to go get educated? He needs to learn a trade. It ain't gonna be so. With advance, the people profiting, people has to lose. You understand what I'm saying? These things take away jobs. With industrial revolution, jobs were lost. You see, so we got to take care of each other. What you call it? Universal basic income. That's gonna come. That's gonna come worldwide. It's gonna have to come because we're gonna go to this AI the same way how we went to the telephone, to the cellular. We're gonna go to all the advances, and AI is gonna have to come. You know, we're gonna have to have what you call sociology in this country, and the world gonna have to be realized because it's about the behavior, man, the bad, stinking behavior, man, greedy behavior, man. that's the science that they got. All the science with the sociology science would bring us to these stinker, greedy things can we deal with. Thank you.
I appreciate your contribution. I always like how you take it back to a conversation of socialism and being able to see a true sense of unity in our community from that particular perspective. So I like your consistency in that. But my question to you is that if we eradicate any element, because all this is a web of productivity, and if we eradicate any one element, then we find some other things falling apart. I see your text coming through, guys, and I want to be able to read all those texts when we get back. So it says, how would you loss if you believe that this generation will sit and wait? They go into talking about dismissing the illegal immigration concerns of the Bahamian people is careless and insensitive. It is obvious you are oblivious to the immediate plight of us, the rightful heirs of this land. Weak, blind men is the main problem of this country. If the men don't stand up, let's read this right here. It says, if the men don't stand up and protect us and our children, the women will. It's not funny, Howard Grant. The future of our children depend on how we control this mess now. We're going to dive deeper and chop that up when we get back. Because you can't eradicate one without the other. If crime taking out your children on the land and immigration coming in from illegal immigration coming in from the sea, then you ain't protected no way. Let's have a very clear conversation when we get back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Foundation with Howard Grant, 96.9 FM radio. Let's take a break, go to news, and get back after this.
The foundation. The foundation.
The Foundation. We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
With so much going on in the world today, only accepting cash at your business can be risky. Let Fidelity offer you and your customers safety, convenience, and the flexibility of a fixed or mobile terminal. Take it with you, on the move and on the go, because business should never stop. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit us at any of our branches.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Popeyes, get the chicken sandwich you love, but make it blackened. Marinated in Popeyes blackened seasoning, that is. Our new juicy filet is fried to perfection without the breading, served on a toasted brioche bun. Try it today as a combo or a la carte. Don't forget to choose your level of spice today at any one of our 3 locations.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Loss of family members is very isolating, and people who have experienced loss appreciate when others have shared their grief. If you can't be there in person, go to the Nassau Guardian's website online at thenassauguardian.com and visit our obituary link. The Nassau Guardian's interactive obituary link allows you to read the funeral announcement, express condolences, or place photos on the online guest book for 1 full year. Losing a loved one is painful, but that pain isn't the worst thing to happen. Friends, loved ones, colleagues, and neighbors who ignore the loss compound the pain. Should the bereaved family wish to place the obituary and photos on our obituary site, just contact the Guardian's funeral industry partners or the Nassau Guardian. Remember, there isn't one magic right thing to say to someone experiencing loss that will make the loss less painful or easier to bear. The Nassau Guardian's obituary link, available online at thenassauguardian.com.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
I told you that the future is here. That is not some magical door we walk through, but a place we create. It's home.
to a place where you can download a 2-hour movie in seconds and stay connected to loved ones even when traveling far from home. Where internet moves at lightning speeds, smoother and more reliable than anything you've ever seen. This future-proof technology can take you to worlds that you can only imagine. The future is here. The future is home. The future is Alive Fiber.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 96.9 FM Radio, Guardian Radio, Howard Grant, your company with the foundation. So happy to be able to be here with you today. I'm truly grateful to be here in the land of the living to kind of engage you in these conversations. And I'm maybe it just pricks your consciousness and say, you know, this boy talking foolishness. Or, you know, have we ever looked at it from that particular perspective? Today we're just talking about what I consider an imbalance socially. I believe it's imbalance. I believe that we've placed a great significance and sort of this emphasis that's carried down and kind of fed to us from our forefathers. This idea of, you know, they're taking all the jobs, they're taking this, they're taking that, they're taking everything from us. We don't have nothing, all these illegal immigrants coming into the country. The conversation's never shifted. It's always been the same, all right? I am the son of a first-generation Bahamian. My father is a first-generation Bahamian. His father is from Turks and Caicos. I told you the story many times. My grandfather would have moved here in the country looking for work, established himself in Spring City. My father was born in Spring City, Abaco, moved to Grand Bahama, and settled in a place they call Pinedale. This is during the pining time, right? And so my father was first generation. And I say this, and maybe you don't understand, but I'm happy to make you to understand. The disdain that Haitians see and feel today is as a result of the xenophobia and this kind of dislike. I don't want to call it hatred. I don't know if it was hatred, right? It was just that this was a conditioning of people in the communities. During that particular time in 8 Mile Rock, a lot of the established Bahamian persons would get their plot of land, okay? Watch me. They would have their plot of land. So there are families that are established in 8 Mile Rock who you can identify as families, whether it be the Wild Goose, whether it be the Grants, whether it be the Smiths. These are families that have been established in 8 Mile Rock. And so when you saw persons coming into 8 Mile Rock, they would call them driftwood, much like Bimini does right now, right? Much like Bimini does right now, okay? And so this idea that existed was that they are truly coming in to take our land. Why? Because you actually had ownership and carriage of the spot and the slots that you were in. So the first generation Turks Islanders were called during that time Bohogs, and they can remember it. But as soon as there was a significant influx of Haitians coming in, they were almost instantaneously alleviated. Oh, thank God, they focus on us no more. The focus have shifted on the Haitians. And because the focus have shifted on the Haitians, whether it be as a willing participant or socially going along with it, Turks Islanders and second generation, third generation, so forth, has almost contributed to the exact same thing that ridiculed their forefathers. So now Turks Islanders who've nestled into this idea that we as Grand Bahamians, we as Bahamians, we're all Haitians, so forth and so on. And when I say, but you was the first generation Haitian, they just cuss me out. But I'm only talking about the disdain. I'm not talking about your ethnicity and your culture, where you come from. I'm talking about the disdain that you've received from a community that rejected you in the first place. I believe that there is an imbalance socially. We are watching year after year is an expectation that 100 people can die this year. Year after year. There is an expectation that 100 people die this year. And if we don't hit 100, geez, boy, you see we did good this year. Hey, we get 99 and a half. What you mean half? Well, the fella half dead. He may make it. We did good this year, boy. We ain't hit the triple digits. There is a social expectation in my mind that we are supposed to see young Bahamian lives lost to gun violence, to gang violence. And as long as the police punctuates it with an idea that this person was known to police, we are alleviated. Oh, thank God. Well, Jesus. Well, let them kill up themselves. They're too fool. But we're losing year after year generations of leaders. Generations that has a call and a purpose wrapped in them to do something in our society. And we totally dismiss that. Rally together and stand on the shores and say, let's deal with that. So you turn your back to the land where we exist to look at the sea. There could be divisions. There could be a group of people who do that. A group of people who do that. I called Candy today. I know that she's going to take a time to come with me one of these times, and I'm really looking forward to really having a good conversation with her. Family Against of all murder victims. You know that, FOAM, right? To be able to find out more things about that. But I just want to have a good conversation with you. And I just want to know these things. When we left the conversation, when we went to a commercial break, I want to read this again. Is dismissing the illegal immigration concerns of Bahamian people is careless and insensitive. It is obvious that you are oblivious to the immediate plight of us, the rightful heirs of this land. Weak, blind men is the main problem of this country. If the men don't stand up and protect us and our children, the women will. It is not funny, Howard Grant. The future of our children depend on how we control this mess now. I disagree with you 178%. Now call me. I disagree with you. Why? This strong say this. You put it in bold. You said the women will. Women vote against themselves. The ratio in our country has women outnumbering men significantly, and yet you have still not found the ovarian fortitude to come together and make a decision to move forward. I challenge that. I challenge that women would do anything. I said to you, foundationally, women continue to perpetuate the idea of leaving it alone. That's where it come from. It came from the women. It came from our grandmothers who say, no, baby, leave that alone. Let God deal with that. We here birthed in this realm. Our mothers gave birth to a physical human being to come here to let God deal with it. I don't understand it. I am totally baffled. So for you to take on this position, year after year, we've seen women continue to fold. You've taken on the private sector jobs, you've educated yourself, you've gone to school, you've done all these particular things, you've rejected the idea, many of you, of even attaching yourself to a man. I don't need no man. But when it comes to leadership in the country, you still take on this notion of some man from somewhere saying, not right now for you, baby, not yet. And you fold to that idea. You haven't forged any political organization. You didn't support Loretta. You didn't support Arinthia. What are you saying to me, man? What are you saying to me? You didn't support Ali. What are you saying to me? You didn't run a rally behind Glennis Hannah Martin. What are you saying to me? This is only a facade and an idea that exists in your head that has not come. This exists in the clouds. How you can put it on paper? When you can put it on paper, the women will do what they've always done. Wait for the men to do it. And I challenge you in that particular perspective. The gender referendum was an opportunity for those of you women who own. You say, how it's up, mixed information. No. I'm only responding. This is an open line today. Remember this open line. There's open line. This is a very clear open line. The texter said, if men Weak, blind men, the main problem of this country. If the men don't stand up to protect us and our children, the women will. And I say to you that there have been opportunities for you to be able to stand up, and it hasn't happened. Let's read another text. It says, good morning. Haitians are hard workers. Bahamian laborers cannot compete with this influx and are being marginalized. We cannot compete with their low pay rates. The problem will not end. The government should consider giving Abaco to the Haitians. Jesus, this is wild what you text just now. So the government should consider giving Abaco to the Haitians. Let them migrate there and form their own economy. That will sort it out. We have land that will never be used for generations. This is the mindset that exists in our country. Well, just give it to them. Let it go. Do we really have a fight in us? Everything has been political correctness and this sort of genuflecting to the structure and the powers that be. Even when we sat down and spoke with Loftus Roker the other day, and not rejecting the monarch entirely was only designed so there's no turbulence, no problems, and we can be able to get along. And a generation later, we're still dealing with these particular things and still can make a strong decision to separate ourselves and stand alone. The problem can't always be to acquiesce. We need to be able to grow a backbone and fight. And the only agitation I'm having out here is that the fight is always about illegal immigration. It's never about crime. It's never about unemployment. It's never about these particular things. It's an imbalance socially. We've sought ideas and this sort of resolution through politics, and politics has failed us time and time and time again. If we have a show only on illegal immigration, the lines would be lit up every single time. And the only thing most of the callers do is give us an opportunity to be able to air their grievances. But where's the real solutions for where we are and where we exist? This is Howard. Don't mind that feminist. She is one of those set that says that men are the cause of problems of everything. It says, good day, Howard. I needed some work done in my yard. A Bahamian company charged me $1,100 and a Haitian charged me $300. What am I supposed to do? He says, get out of your feelings, Howard. The woman voted to protect our weak, uneducated men. This is bananas what you're saying. Let's take a telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Howard, how you doing? Seattle Johnson, cricket thinker.
How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, I like that text. Some of us have community of competence, right? And so far, our leadership seems to like to play that game with us, tell us what one thing means and not to tell us not to read it. I've had debates here on the Hawksbill Creek Agreement on video where the person leading the Hawksbill Creek Agreement told me, do not speak to what I've read, speak to what he says. Mm-hmm. And that's where it is. For instance, for 49 years, the government of the Bahamas have had the right to give women the authority to give women exactly what they say for 49 years, but using linguistic contortionism, they've denied them it because it gives them in the Constitution the ability to pass citizenship. In fact, the discrimination is against both men and women, and in fact that they do have a process. Now, the process may be convoluted, but the process is there that gives the same thing, just that one is protected, or we call it enshrined, and one is not. But I didn't call you for that. I called for the ownership of the economy type environment. It's been a deliberate separation of Bahamians from the opportunities, using the same thing of the magician, one of deflection, illusionary benefits. Like they say, we'll make Rolls Royce duty free. Knowing that no one can buy it. And so it's the same thing.
Or helicopters.
Yes. And so it's illusionary benefits. And we are being slowly but surely disenfranchised and colonized. Why? Because there's a select group of people in our country that actually want uneducated low-price workers. In spite of we say, oh, we charge $300. That's way less than what we should be getting in market conditions. If you look at what you call the study from the University of Bahamas, and even what I did myself, that came with about $650 per week. If you actually look at the poverty benchmark, you will find that 75% of the houses in the Bahamas don't meet the poverty line if you adjust for inflation of about $6,000 per person in their house. But we don't have statistics in spite of the money we spend to actually do this. But the information is there in the public domain. But the miseducation of our people serves the purpose. Immigration, illegal immigration in the Bahamas, if you pay 40,000 individuals, underpay them by $100 a week, you have made $300 million in savings. Because you paid them that $100 a week less, you must now pay the other 200,000 people that amount less too. You've made another $1 billion. So you have a $1.5 billion in savings from an employment type environment.
So this is only a numbers game. This has nothing to do with anything else. This has nothing to do with the idea that, well, they're not necessarily with that because they're not educated. You've just taken on a position, despite what's happening socially, that you can see that there's a significant rise globally, and you still don't increase these things. So it's a numbers game.
Yeah, but I like to stick to our country because we have the resources to fix it. See, I don't worry about what happens to when I'm sitting with my wife tonight, I don't care what the other guy doing with his wife in there, except unless he's abusing her. And that's why I'm concerned about the abuse that is happening to my people. And so this is why you have more than 70% of our intellectual capital leaves, because there's no environment for them to come back to. Now, you're a football fan, and you know how the game is played. You have the fans, you have the players, you have the managers, and you have the owners. The fanatics are called voters. The players are called MPs. The managers are called those that we somehow often refer to in this economy as these particular families. But the owners are the people who sit in that booth that we don't get to see. And that's exactly how our economy is. The problem is that technology is democratizing the way this is happening, and it's important for them to accelerate their game plan of disenfranchisement and outnumber the typical...
But they're trying to slow the whole game down because they rejected the incorporation of technology.
No, yes, they are. They're slowing the game of the fans, so they come to realize the game is rigged.
Yeah.
And so by doing without technology, I mean, here it is, we talk about technology. You know, we have spent, if you actually go to the budget for the last 30 years, in the entire Bahamas, we've spent over $3 billion in technology, yet we can't get paperless document. I hear them talk about the freedom of information, which you're going to search the cases and cases of file. The hundreds of thousands of files have been lost and destroyed in Dorian and other hurricanes, mold, mildew, and other things. How do you have freedom of information without digitization? And so, again, it's just...
I always thought that was confusing to me.
You know, it's just
they always talking about the cart. They always put the cart before the horse.
Right.
They always do that. And
so when we
it's a
start talking
frustrating
about,
thing.
how do you have a freedom of information without an integrity bill, without an anti-corruption bill, without a whistleblower bill? You understand?
Yeah.
See, all of these things is symbiotic in its existence. One cannot exist without the other. So the mere fact that I hide a file or do something else, you have no way of verifying or authentication that you say the file is unavailable anyway. And so all of these things, you know, technology actually stops these type of environment. And so here it is that we are in the 21st century, and the Bahamas have yet to leave the 20th century. And so we are 23 years now, or if you count from 2001, we're 22 years into the 21st century, and we're still grasping the 20th century concepts that they are now moving to artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and everything else. And we have yet to adopt that which in the back. Now, we have great on the consumerism aspect of it, but as far as the development of the country, and I hear people call today and others that couldn't ask me to speak about some of these issues. And so what happens is that, for instance, years ago, when I told people that the foreign exchange no longer existed when Chirago Lang was in government and they did it for the credit cards, a lot of people didn't believe me. In fact, a lot of people still don't believe. They still believe foreign exchange is there. It's there in the limited amount. Where people used to run around, trying to get U.S. dollars, and I just use your credit card. In the same way, they've convinced us that foreign exchange is also for the sake of facilitating the outflow of cash more so than the inflow. We want as many inflow as possible. We've convinced the people that foreign direct ownership is the same as foreign direct investment. Wealth is built on other people's money, other people's ideas, and other people's efforts. You got the people F as illegal immigrants. You got
Wow.
the people ideas and other people money. They don't want you to know that you have access to it because digitization has made that available. FTX is a good example of that. But if you look only at what he did, you would miss the other thousands of opportunities that goes along with the industry that we supposed to have invoked in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But Bahamians aren't being taught about the opportunities in that attitude.
And I want you to do that for me. I want you to sit down and talk with us. I know you were sitting with Dwight the other day, and I want you to be able to come here and really be able to have a good conversation about some stuff. I got some other calls coming through, and you and I are going to talk.
Unless we demand better. Let me just end in saying this. The most important thing is not education. It's empowerment. Very rarely do an educated person would demand empowerment. However, an empowered person would demand better education for their children and for the future for better preparedness. And you don't need education to be empowered. And so essentially what you need is information and knowledge of execution. And we need to stop telling people that. So what we need to do is have a real conversation of where we are and where we need to be. What's now, what's new, and what's next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call. I always appreciate your contribution. The difference between education and empowerment is what I meant when I went to College of the Bahamas. I've always understood this kind of an idea that we exist in this space. We did it when we was kids. So Grammy would say, baby, say your recitation, right? They would go to the royal reader and say this. Yeah. So it was almost like showtime, right? Between dancing and saying your recitation. I know about this stuff. I'm 40 years old. I'm 42 years old this year, right? I know about this. I remember when guests would come to the house and say, they would call me, come baby, come do a little dance. Right? Come do a little dance for and I would stand there and I would do the whole dance, right? I'll say a recitation. Say, oh, he's so smart, he can say that. And we grow up with this idea that education is the ability to kind of repeat what has been written prior, but not necessarily critical thinking and being, decisive in the approach, kind of analyzing the information and making a right decision. So that's where the empowerment comes in, and we need more persons empowered. Let's take the next telephone call. The caller is on the line. Caller on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Howard?
All is well, man.
Yeah, you said something a bit earlier that stood out, that Bahamians lack the will to fight for themselves, or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And we also lack even just the care to go find out for ourselves, because we don't have a law problem, we have an enforcement problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bahamas government has been doing a better job with apprehending and repatriating. But when it comes to the labor laws, and I heard it on the news this morning that they intend to go after the employers of persons who are hold a work permit and are not doing the work that they should be doing, or in the island that they should be doing it.
You know why?
No.
That's heavy what you say. You said we don't even go out. We don't even have the wherewithal to go and find out for ourselves. Let me tell you why. As soon as you find out, you could never be the same. As soon as you find out, you become accountable.
Yeah.
And you could be able to claim, oh, I didn't know. If you don't know. If you don't pursue the information, because the information is accessible. But if you don't have the truth of the information, and that is why I believe our country, despite all the millions and billions we would have spent on technology, that is why we don't have the technology the way that we're supposed to. You know why? Because now you have to remain accountable. Technology don't give you that kind of room, that leeway that human beings would do. And that is why I believe that.
Yeah, I think even up to last night, the social media video that's going around with the political aspirator, the person who wants to gain the seat of prime minister, like he sends out some information and people just hold on to it and they run with it because he said it and they believe it and he has its facts. Nothing he said last night when he was speaking to that lady or how he presented that story was truthful. And we're not going to find out if these people are here illegally, if there's actually a shanty town on Paradise Island, which there is not. He said they didn't have electricity, which they did. But because someone say it, we could just believe it because he's the one out there fighting for us and our rights. But we never stop to think, is he actually fighting for himself and using us to get where he needs to be or wants to be?
That needs to be, during the pandemic time, the former prime minister came out and started to talk. And I appreciate your telephone call. I got a couple more people coming in here. I thank you so very kindly for that. Ladies and gentlemen, please give us a call, 325-4316, 325-4259, 422-4796. During the pandemic, the former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis would have come out and mimic what he's seen done in the United States of America. And I thought it was irresponsible of him. I did. I thought it was extremely irresponsible and downright foolish for him to take on this kind of a position and just deflect and reject a particular idea by saying, oh, that's fake news. Why say it's fake news? Why do you have to stand behind a podium as chief operating officer, right? Chief executive officer in our country to be able to reject a particular idea that's bubbled up in one of the news houses and say that's fake news? That's silly to me. That is absolute foolishness to me, right? I remain consistent in that kind of position. There's no need for you to stand up in your particular capacity and for us to believe you won. There should be an entity identified strategically that if I want to be able to kind of wage to see whether or not this is real or if it's fake, I should be able to go there. I never come back and have a conversation about anything what people say on social media unless and until I read it in the newspapers, unless and until I hear one of the official stations and spaces that can be able to say this is authentic information, we can be able to go with this. The other day, the people killed CB Moss instantaneously. Talk to me. Let's be very clear. We know that he had an issue. We watch it as they were going through the procession. The camera pan out, move away. When we came back, they was over and bam, Dr. Darwell came. I said, oh my God, what happened? A little couple of moments later, you saw they bring the gurney inside there. When you look on social media, CB Moss was dead. The people then start saying RIP. Come to find out you didn't kill a living man. Simply because you didn't verify anything. And so if you carried that story, floated it about, and you didn't wait for the official spaces, because you may not necessarily know any of CB Moss's family, but you didn't wait for the official things, you carried out there, and now you look just as fool as these people, and that is what we do in this country. There's no need for the Prime Minister or anyone else to say that's fake news. You should have entities that we can be able to rely and trust on to say whether or not to look to them. Now, the only issue is that those entities need to be able to create a division to be able to be more swift with their news. Get yourself on social media. Be swift with the news and verify the story swiftly. Because people want to be able to get instant gratification at this time. Let's go with the next telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Howard.
Hey, what's up, Graham?
Even sometimes, you're 100% correct. Even sometimes, the legitimate media, like the left and the right-wing media in the States, I wouldn't call the channels by their name, but you know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they present opinion polls, not the news. It's the way they see it. And so you have to worry sometimes that what we call real media sometimes present the story with a spin, like some of those two stations do.
Because of their desire for relevance. They want to remain relevant. They do, and that's just bastardization. They bastardize it themselves.
And what they don't realize is, and you know, I have to say the Guardian's done a good job. They've tried to make that pivot to having a mobile media show up with social media.
Yes.
Because, the old style media is old style, eh?
Yes.
So, at the end of the day, the facts are what I look for. And during the hurricane, the facts were 3,000 people were airlifted to the Capitol and made sure they were nice and well-fed and cozy and snug and got a phone in a stadium where other persons who may have been in the country longer were abused. And that's the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, we saw yellow twins in Abaco. First time for a long time we ever seen that. And that's why. Because people paid attention to the facts. The facts are, Juan McCartney on the radio said, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, when he was on the radio years ago, he went and checked the statistics. See, they don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, out of 10 live births, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, only one was organic. Isn't that crazy? So if we celebrate majority rule, January 10, and the majority, obviously, is the 9 other births, well, I will be waiting for the day when English is the first language in the country.
Crazy
You
what
know,
you're doing.
it's so sad because I sit down and I look at all these beautiful, perfect, and important distractions away from the cost of gas, electricity. Because we got a clear and present danger coming, and it's coming to bite us. But we're not paying attention to it because we have so many other issues in the country. Anyway, Howard, you have a good one.
I appreciate you, Graham.
Sit back and laugh at myself.
Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call. Ladies and gentlemen, please be a part of the conversation. 325-4316, 325-4259, 422-4796. Let's read this. It says, let's keep it real, Howard. Certain jobs some Bahamians don't want to do because our work ethics have changed. Some youths looking for quick and easy money don't know when water boil, but want office job and big paycheck. I suppose you meant don't know how to boil water, right? But they want office job and big paycheck, right? So let's read another one. It says, as Bahamians, we need to do some serious soul searching, and parents need to emphasize the importance of education to their children and be actively involved in the process. Meanwhile, kids of another culture are taking full advantage of educational systems, while some Bahamian fathers and mothers are hanging out all weekend drinking and partying. This is Howard. Great show as usual. My mommy from Bimini and my daddy's from Nassau, so I'm half Driftwood and 100% Driftwood. It says her maiden name is Brown, so I don't think they should call me Driftwood because the brown part of me is used for colorful language. Howard, we can't stop illegal immigration because the Bahamas, we don't have a lust to prostitute people out of cheap labor, especially in construction industry, right? And the last thing this person says is, Howard, to repeat, don't repeat nothing the past PM said. That man head ain't no good. These are texts that are coming through, right? So the lady on the PI said that she didn't have power. She also said that she didn't have water. Why did fanatics miss that? Isn't Pintard seeking to be prime minister? Isn't Ali McIntosh seeking to be prime minister? No, I think Ali went to the church, right? Wasn't Komalafe also seeking to be prime minister? So why is it now a crime for Lincoln Bean to have ambitions of the same? I don't think it's a crime. I like it. I think I like what Lincoln does. It really gets the country going, right? It gets you thinking. It gets those people, the conversations going, and I just believe that it should not be one-sided. I just feel like it's lopsided, and if you're indifferent with that, that's okay, that's fine. But I just feel like it's lopsided. We're not having significant conversations about the issue. Is not whether it be education. For me, the issue is down to the root. It's hopelessness. That's what it is. There's no hope in this country. Nobody hope for nothing. There's no aspirations anymore. The aspirations has been sucked out of the air. Nobody cares for tomorrow anymore. Their existence is today. Our time to exist is today. I remember one time ago, and I see some families still do it, but there's one time in my childhood that the entire community would have storefronts. If you had a store, you had storefronts for Christmas. You had decorations. You did all these things. The yards were kept. Everyone in the community house had to be painted, especially if you live on the main road. Everyone house paint. The children outside setting up, and they starting to do this from the end of September. By mid-October, we in it. Grammy said we got to fix this, this, and this. Why? Because there was a hope, an idea of prosperity, and this kind of a joy that existed at the end of the year that we can celebrate. There was community involvement and a very clear understanding of participation. This is what we learned as a community. That doesn't exist anymore. All the conversations that we have to do with in this country goes to the core of hopelessness and lack of community. There's no community here anymore. There isn't. There's no hope for an idea to be able to have this great family and have all these particular things and be able to get a good job and take care of your family and buy a piece of property. No one could afford that. The hope is left. How are we going to rectify those issues? Let's talk about it. It says, this is why the problem persists. We're always skirting around the migrant issues. A lot of them are illegal. It is what it is. Why we say illegal is that they're breaching our borders, circumventing our immigration process. That's an illegal act. So they are illegal migrants. It is what it is. Stop walking on eggshells around the issues. They are illegal migrants. We didn't say that they weren't. My only questions to you is that is there an imbalance? Are we going to always run and kind of embrace this conversation about illegal immigration and how we could be able to rectify this issue without being able to? We dismiss. There's not a significant conversation about crime. Nobody putting that to the Christian Council. The Christian Council, I remember sitting in Grand Bahama when Rosie O'Donnell bring a boat here. You always sitting on the harbor. One rock in hand, and the next hand you embracing your homophobia. Talk to me. Now you got your rock in hand, and you got the next hand embracing your xenophobia. Talk to me. But no one dealing with the issue of crime that dealing with us. These children are getting murdered, man. It blowing my mind. Not only are the children getting murdered, the murderer is also one of ours. Now you want to say, well, Howard, statistically, well. These children I see with all the ankle bracelet and walking up and down, these Bahamian children. Let's take a telephone call. Call you on the line with this live. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great.
That's good, man. Go ahead.
This is why Lincoln Beans movement is getting so strong, because we are talking heads always making Bahamians feel like we doing it is the crime for voicing our opinion when it comes to different things. Bahamians don't feel hopeful anymore. We feel disenfranchised in our own country. You have a foreigner who could beat up the police, break the fingers, and just get a fine. But if a Bahamian did that same exact thing, the Bahamian party would be probably dead by now.
Okay, so there is an imbalance.
So my other point is, every time Bahamians speak up against, for decades, we're speaking up against illegal immigration, and then you have talking heads on the media would tell us, "Oh, you're being xenophobic. Oh, you're being this. You're being that." When could Bahamians speak? Because every time you speak, you get shamed for trying to voice your opinion.
Okay,
I'm from Abaco.
This is what the conversation is today. The conversation is not about me rejecting the idea of anything. To label it xenophobia, let's take that off the table. Okay,
no, hold
we're
on,
talking about illegal immigration.
I'm saying every time the grassroots Bahamians try to say something, you hear the so-called intellectual or pseudo-intellectuals always on the radio downing Bahamians. Oh, you did this. That's how the other person on the radio who came on before you, it's like you can't speak. And what I'm saying is, for decades, and Abaco alone, that Bahamians, Abaconians saying, listen, it's a problem. It's a problem. And administration after administration ignored it. Now, what's happening now, the Mud Pitch and P is coming back twofold.
The only person I see now agitating out of Abaco is Kai Mills.
No. See, and that's the problem. Instead of you guys come from Nassau and actually get on the ground and see, and that's misinformation again.
Okay, I can accept that.
Hold on. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, sitting in Nassau in the studio, sitting and not getting on the ground and actually talking to the individuals in Africa, you would never know. What's happening in Harbour Island right now?
Illegal immigration.
You all didn't know anything about it until the guy send the video around. But if you're waiting for the legitimate media, like or the mainstream media to say anything, then they're human beings. They're biased. They're partisan. So that, of course, it takes social media to get these things known. You can't say everything is misinformation, because the mainstream media, they're partisan. They're advertisers. So, I mean, what do you do as Bahamians if we can't speak our mind without being chastised? is what I'm saying. Anyway.
I accept what you're saying, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call. Thank you so very kindly. Guys, please give us a call. I accept what he said entirely. I know. I've been in the media space for a while, and I've been a participant in terms of listening in for a long time. I know what you're saying. But my only question is there an imbalance? Because I'd like the same sort of rage and, banding together to ensure that we rectify these particular issues. You mentioned the fact that grassroots, we're losing the people in the inner city to crime. So the grassroots people who are calling the radios in their cozy in their homes and calling the radio about an issue that's happening, whether it's on the east side of Nassau or the west side of Nassau and Abaco or elsewhere as it relates to illegal immigration, are losing their neighbors right across the street. And they dismiss the idea. The fellow, listen to me. When I had an opportunity and I would travail and go hear some of my good friends and whatnot in Baintown, I would go there and the people would say, Howard, you wouldn't believe what happened last night. The fellow drive past the house, bam, we had to get in the floor, look, and they point to the China closet, and there's bullet holes in the China closet. Bullet holes in their house. But these are the type of people who live in the inner city to rally up and be able to talk about illegal immigration. And you could die from crime. And just an imbalance in my view. This is just my view. And it's okay, everyone. I'm going to give you that grace and an opportunity. I will not reject you, but I'm going to challenge you. Because the same tenacity that we have to come on the radio to talk about these things, we can be able to find the strength to lock arms and fight against real issues that are eradicating the future of this country. Let's take a next telephone call. Caller, you on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Grant.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, right. I love that next caller, right? And I like what he was saying. What he's saying is actually true. I didn't get to listen to C. Allen, but, Mr. Grant, I'm 58 years old. Mm-hmm. I'll be 59 if God spare my life, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm socially diverse. So, my parents was fortunate enough to have a house out east. I went to a private school and a government school, and so I'm in the city. Even after school, I would walk down school from St. John's College, and I would come in and I would mingle with the inner city youths. And I don't know where this terminology come from, but everybody moved out subsequently. They ran their homes out. I've seen the change in the demographics. I have a panoramic view of what's going on in the inner city, right? Mm-hmm. Now, people who live in Ivy Towers may sit and think that the same breed of migrants are coming. They are different. So now, what I'm saying is, I have Haitian Bahamian friends born here from the 60s. We play cowboys and crooks, spin top, do everything. Some of them come from New York. They still come and hail me. I had Haitian Bahamian girlfriends. So we must dismiss this schism of ignorance. All right? I would like to dismiss the Civil War BS, right?
Okay.
But I would also like to dismiss the xenophobic BS.
Okay.
All right? Now, you could play an integral role because you have the voice, Mr. Grant. What I'm saying is, I don't want a rift to be between me and my Haitian Bahamian friends, right? Because people come in here and you just use social media. Take, for instance, right? Look at it. There are narratives being passed out, derogatory narratives being passed out against Bahamians on the airwaves. I mean, on the social media. And I don't know if you've heard any of them suggesting violence, right? So if we do that, then that means we're really bringing down ourselves because we have miscegenated with these people. I have a Haitian Bahamian nephew. That's what I'm saying. So all of this foolishness about we look down at Haitians as fecal matter, that narrative cannot be true. So what I'm saying is, the question is numerology here and national security standpoint. All right? The PM talked about demolishing the shanty towns. We're interested in who's here illegally and putting legal infrastructures in place to curtail and impede this. We can't just sit and poke our head in the sand and try to influence the Bahamian people external reality with lies and dismissing facts. You heard the narratives, us and them. Where does this narrative come from? You're hearing the narratives, us and them.
Yes.
That means there's a schism. What I want the Haitian people to do is if they can't accept and respect the Bahamian people, then they realize their anger, our anger should be pointed at England, France, Dutch, Holland, Belgium, wherever. I mean Holland, Portugal, Spain, all the European powers who have created this schism. Because this schism amongst us is the repercussion of us being brought here. One ship stop in Haiti, one stop in Jamaica, one stop this way in Darwin. So we might be family members and all and don't even know.
It's heavy what you're doing.
Haiti is rich in a chemical and an element called iridium, which is about $6,000, I think, an ounce. All right? Or a pound. I can't remember. I just read it. But it's an ounce. $6,000 an ounce of iridium, which is a very rare element. Only found in Africa and one or two other places, Russia and some other places. But what I'm saying is our countries are rich, but we are being... See, schism is an incremental tool of European powers in order to go and do what they want to do to us. Why we fight with one another, and we should be pointing the anger at them instead of one another. But if they're so smart, I've heard some derogatory statements as to the people saying they could gather by the PM office tomorrow. The PM already told the people he's one of them. We must try to curtail this foolishness that's brewing. And I'm not going to change anyone's external reality by denying what is being said on social media against the Bahamian people as far as violence from the nation. Why are all these videos circulating about with the Haitian men walking around with they are rifles with double drums on them, as if the Bahamian people are some cowards or some weakling, or they can influence someone, or you saw this talk to us. Listen to me, you got to stop, because we're supposed to be one. But then you see that they're saying we are not one. So why are they coming here? They're coming here because they are numbers. They know that they have the numbers, and they're becoming audacious and emboldened because they have their family members here feeding them information as to what they cannot do and what they cannot get away with. Now, C.A. Nui was kind of disparaging to Mr. Munnings this morning, but what I'm saying is about how he know the people are Haitian. It's not the female position to ask the Haitian if they're here illegally, It's not a position. It's we are paying these jokers, right, to go and do their jobs. But they want me and you to go, Mr. Grant, let me tell you something. We are a pathetic country. And I'm not going to, listen to me, man. I have a panoramic view of this situation, And I have Haitian Bahamian friends, like I said, from decades, from the 60s.
Before we go, because I got to get to another call, give me your synopsis of the direction for a solution. What do you think we should do at this juncture?
The government should just get rid of the illegals. I'm not a fool. I have Haitian Bahamian friends who I love. Don't come to me with this fool. We know one another. I'd even hate to believe it would even boil down to us against them.
Yeah.
Because that means they were fake friends. That's what it remind me of. If you could go against me now, that means you're a fake friend. If you go up here and you're still domination, you're a fake friend. And the government sitting on joking a bunch of pathetic weak jokers. Name me one of these leaders who would go on and fight for this country. I people talking about Dr. Minnis. I was on the radio talking the truth. Dr. Minnis is a doctor. Lying to people, take the vaccine. The vaccine can stop this. The vaccine is man science. I'll eat Dr. Dr. Minnis don't know nothing about retrobiology. Nothing. He lied to the people. People should go after him because he lied in the name of science. If you was to carry science to court now, and the science was to be adjudicated on scientific facts, these men would be guilty of crimes against humanity.
Not just him. Dr. Fushi also. Right? Let's do that. Let's do that. Right? Let's take a telephone call. We got persons on there. Let me see if I can be able to read this. Okay, so you guys are there. All right, so we only got a few minutes. Let me see if we can get through these texts. I got a lot of texts. This is Howard. Get your head out of the sand. The illegal immigration issue is also a crime. Think about it. How do we know that foreigners are not committing some of these killings? We will never know because we don't even know who comes. This is a problem that we have to deal with because at the end of the day, Bahamians will be the ones to pay. All right, so that's the text that actually came through. Let me see if I can be able to read another one. It says, Howard, Lincoln Bain has the courage and the skin of the game. There are lots of talkers and not doers. Lincoln puts his money where his mouth is, and all good to complain. Let's see some work behind that talk. Right? It says, Howard, I agree with the misery index in this country is so high. What the caller is describing adds to it. People are frustrated that the truth is not coming out, and because of that, real solutions are not achieved, which makes people even more frustrated. I like that text. It says, Howard, eggs are $9 a dozen. Not organic eggs. Regular white eggs are $9 a dozen. But we are more concerned about Haitians. Wake up, Bahamians. We soon won't be able to buy groceries. All right? That's the next text that came through. So it says, Mr. 52 understands the illegal problem. He understands it. Their plans and their insults from the media towards us. So it says, there will always be an imbalance. The issue of crime involves all of us as a nation. Hence, looking introspectively can often be embarrassing, whereas the immigration issue is a good excuse for us to look outwardly. This is heavy what you're saying. It sets up scenarios of us against them. That type of issue is easy to talk about and requires hardly no introspection. Yeah, well, if it's external, you never have to have introspection for that. But for those of us, see, if you've only consumed yourself with consuming just superficial information, you got to get to some spiritual stuff. Let's see if we can be able to get some more stuff out there before we get out of here. So this is Howard. This illegal issue is one of a national security. It needs to be addressed ASAP. Let me see if I can be able to get a 30-second telephone call. No? All right, let's go to the break.
The foundation.
The Foundation will be back right after this.
We're good for you.
Whether your business is in store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
We're good for you.
It's time to shift into focus. On Saturday, January 21st, 2023, Astute Talent Management presents its inaugural professional development conference under the theme Shift into Focus. Ever felt stuck at work, unsatisfied with your professional path, or just ready for new challenges? If you're ready for new opportunities and open to developing new skills, come and learn what hiring managers really want. Be in attendance. Join us free of cost at the Fox Hill Community Center, where we will shift into focus. For more information, visit www.mytalentmatters.com to register today. The time is now. Your day is today. Shift into focus.
Foundation.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company with the Foundation. So happy to be here in your company. Listen, you know we can't take no more telephone calls. We got 3 minutes before we can get out of here. I don't know who this is. Should I give him 30 seconds? Can I give him 30? I'll give you 30 seconds. Call you on the line with us live. You got 30 seconds before we can get out of here. You're not there? 30 seconds, caller. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I was very quickly here listening to your program all evening, all afternoon. Two things we have to consider here. Firstly, the people on the ground here do not believe that any serious effort is going to be made in this immigration matter because, first and foremost, we don't know what treaties were signed, whether these treaties can be altered in any way, shape, or form, or if there's an expiry date when we can go back to these treaties and have them amended or adjusted. And I'll end my comments there.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I do appreciate that. Let me see if I can read this text before we get out of here. It says, hey, Howard, every food store that I go have all foreign nationals packing. This says parking, but I'm sure it means packing groceries now. Wow, right? Let's just shoot straight, okay? We do have an illegal immigration issue. We do. And I don't want you to believe that I'm naive and oblivious to these particular things. I'm not. We talk about this ad nauseum, relentlessly, no holds bar once we're off this radio space. And because we do that, it's rich, always at the tip of our tongue to have this conversation. But the fact of the matter is that there needs to be simultaneous resolutions in this country. We cannot be one-sided in our approach to rectifying issues that persist in our country. There needs to be activation, there needs to be agitation, and you don't need education for that. You just know that there is an issue. How do we resolve that? What can I do to participate in rectifying those particular issues? We have to do away with this conditioning fed to us by our forefathers of waiting on a politician or some external entity to do it. Let's get up and work on these things for the next generation, for the preservation of who we are as a people. We have to infuse our community with a sense of hope and revive the community again. That's just my mind. That's my mind. And that's my desire. And I want to work with you on getting to that particular space. I thank you so much for listening to us and listening with us and actually participating with us today. Guys, I thank you so much for even giving me an opportunity to be able to come into your spaces, into your homes, into your office space, wherever you are, and really participating in the conversation. I'm hoping that we trouble the waters of this stagnated position that we are and no longer remain mundane and lackadaisical in our approach to rectifying real issues in this country. This is 96.9 FM Radio, The Foundation with Howard Grant. In your company, so happy to be with you. Tomorrow, we're going to be celebrating Bishop Lawrence Rowe's birthday. So he should be in the studio with us tomorrow. We kind of set it up. We're going to do something nice and special for him and really be able to bring some things in. He's my very good friend. So I want to be able to do that for him. His birthday is tomorrow. And we're going to open up the line so you can be able to give him that and really have a good conversation about where we are and how he's been contributing to national growth and development from his perspective. Stick and stay for Z Live with Shivago Lying right after this. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. God spare.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation.